The head of Lucasfilm is reportedly expected to go far, far away and leave the studio that makes Star Wars films by the end of the year. Now, this has many conservatives, including myself, jumping for joy. Why? Because Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy wokeified the franchise. Now, Puck first reported the news on Monday night, citing a source familiar with it. Another source said that nothing had actually been decided yet.
Kennedy joined the company in 2012. Disney bought it a few months later. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, left shortly after.
Kennedy relaunched the Star Wars franchise in 2015. From 2015 to 2019, Disney released a new Star Wars movie every year. The first was The Force Awakens, which grossed more than $2 billion globally.
In U.S. box office history, it is the highest-grossing film. The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, however, earned just half of that.
Many right-leaning Star Wars fans put the blame on Kathleen Kennedy for the franchise's decline. In 2018, Solo, A Star Wars Story, which was terrible, was the first Star Wars movie to lose money at the box office. Kennedy also oversaw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That film lost around $140 million.
In May 2024, Kennedy told the New York Times, "Operating within these giant franchises now with social media and the level of expectation, it's terrifying." I think a lot of the women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more because of the fan base being so male-dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal.
Even George Lucas's ex-wife Marcia bashed Kennedy's rendition of the franchise. Marcia told The Times that Kennedy had no clue about Star Wars. One gripe critics have is that Kennedy has tried crowbarring leftist ideological themes into the movies. Some of these include overcasting of diverse female Jedis and adding a storyline about so-called lesbian space witches. Critics also said the films tried making them hate Luke Skywalker and unnecessarily killed off beloved characters for the sake of diversity. Managing editor of the Babylon Bee, Joel Berry, wrote on X, "Kathleen Kennedy's tenure at Lucasfilm shows us what happens when you try to make art out of spite and hatred. Her work over the decade has been little more than performative malice against the Western mythos and the men who built it. Just a miserable body of work."
Co-owner of popular YouTube page Star Wars Explained, Molly Damon, wrote on Blue Sky, "The folks who have been campaigning for Kathleen Kennedy to step down will try and make you think they were right all along. Don't let it get to you. Let the woman retire in peace if that's what's happening. She deserves nothing but respect and gratitude for her years of service and compassion. If I were her, I'd step down too and move out of this hellscape of a country."
Writer and producer at The Daily Wire, Jacob Fallick, wrote, "Kathleen Kennedy took America's most iconic film franchise, Star Wars, something countless young boys grew up watching because of the action, villains, heroes, and aliens, and turned it into a monstrosity of far-left politics, from introducing the most egregious examples of a feminist Mary Sue character. It has become unwatchable as it currently stands. Good riddance to Kathleen. The culture is changing in the right direction. There's no room for your BS."
Moral of the story, don't mess with Star Wars at all.
Don't mess with Star Wars at all. So some of these criticisms from the right are going much further than I would go. However, I do broadly share the criticism of Kathleen Kennedy. I think under her auspices, Star Wars became pretty bad and produced a lot of bad movies. Now, you are a Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings person.
I'm also a Star Wars
You're a
fan.
Star Wars person.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this incredible nostalgia to it. I actually
Yes.
take issue with the comment about little boys tuning into
Yeah,
Star Wars. Hey,
of course.
I watched it.
No,
I
it's
had
an
the gear.
adventure series for families, for people of all ages. The new movies were just not that good. They were so the first one, Force Awakens, it was not bad. It was a little too simple and just far too similar to the original Star Wars movie. The second two ones were terrible for opposite reasons. The middle one, Last Jedi, was awful and betrayed everything Star Wars ever stood for, and why they made Luke Skywalker be like angry with the Jedi and then they killed him off was just terrible. It was awful. The whole part of it with the casino plot line, that was just all so bad. I think, and then the third movie tried to pivot then wildly in the other direction and just give fans exactly what they wanted. Fan service, Palpatine is back. How? We'll never explain it. It makes no sense. And that was also absolutely terrible. They didn't have any original ideas. They were trying to trade on nostalgia without understanding what made Star Wars so appealing in the first place. For as much as the prequel movies that George Lucas made were maligned. I love those movies. I loved them as a kid. I love them now.
Glad you brought that up. There was controversy, though.
No, I know. You were supposed to hate those. I feel like that's now reversed because everyone who loved Star Wars of my age, now we're adults, and like, yeah, that was actually, we loved Star Wars then.
The criticism was over Jar Jar.
Yeah, but it was, Jar Jar's fine. I mean,
fine.
There are legitimate criticisms, obviously, you can make of the prequel movie. Like, some of the CGI doesn't hold up very well. Some of the dialogue, particularly concerning the romance between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman, is not particularly well written. I think there's plenty you can fault George Lucas for. But what you can't say is that those movies had no big ideas. Those movies did have big ideas. They were telling a sophisticated, interesting, politically relevant story about democracy being corrupted, how a charismatic figure can arise, complain about the democracy, the bureaucracy in our government, and have this secret plot. There's the warfare, the conflicts amongst the Jedi, what Palpatine is trying to achieve behind the scenes, the corruption of Anakin is all really compelling and is good storytelling.
And maybe relevant today.
And maybe relevant today. I think that stuff is really good and underrated. We're actually coming up on the some anniversary of I think it's of Revenge of the Sith. It's got to be the 20th anniversary, something like that. I'm going to be seeing that movie in theaters. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. I will say there is some good stuff of the new Star Wars. The Andor series was really good. I just saw a trailer for the second season of that. I'm excited for that. The Mandalorian was okay.
Oh, I love The Mandalorian.
The first season was good.
Grogu,
it's watchable.
right?
Well, we all love Grogu.
Yeah,
He's adorable. It's good. I wouldn't knock it. If that was the only new thing, I would say, yeah, it's okay.
It was a great gateway for this next generation to appreciate Star Wars. In fact, right around when The Mandalorian came out was when I sat down with my daughter, and we ended up watching all of the previous Star Wars movies, but we did it prequels first, which I think is part of the test of it. Did the storyline actually knit together? And it totally did.
So you did it.
Loved it.
You did it in that order. That's interesting because I'm going to watch them with someone who's never seen any Star Wars. And what I've been told is, have you heard of the shotgun order?
No.
So I think I'm going to try doing it this way since I'm going to be watching it with someone who's never seen any of them. You watch the original, so 4 and 5, the original and sequel. 4, 5, you go back and do the prequels, 1, 2, 3, and then you see 6.
And what's the theory behind that?
So the theory there is to disguise for as long as possible Darth Vader, who he is, and his origin story. So you wait to find out that he's Luke's father, spoilers, and then you go back and see how he came to be, and then you finish the saga.
Yeah,
so I'm going to try that out, see how it works.
I mean, look, I to be fair to Kathleen Kennedy, I know you don't want to hear this, but of course, Star Wars is iconic. And anytime you're going to delve back into something that has all of this nostalgia and passion wrapped into it, it's going to be a really, really high bar.
I could do it better. Hire me, Star Wars. I have ideas. We're going to use time travel to just pretend that none of these movies, the new ones, ever happened, and we're gonna redo it.
I think it's all entertaining, though. Honestly, all of the series, I get what people are saying about making sure that you're actually
Palpatine returned somehow.
For sure.
That movie made it into the final script.
But I love the universe that is revealed to you by Star Wars so much. I think it's all entertaining.
I was entertained by the criticism of Kathleen Kennedy that South Park
made. You thrive
made.
On that. You were dying to talk about that.
I was dying to talk because I was recalling the South Park skit, which I can't repeat any lines from because it's not for it's not a family episode. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That does it for us today on Rising. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can get your podcast fix. See you in a galaxy far, far away.